I always believed marriage was built on honesty. At least, that's what I told myself every time I locked the bedroom door, pulled out the hidden key from behind the bookshelf, and opened the small wooden chest at the back of our wardrobe. Inside were silk blouses, pleated skirts, stockings folded with obsessive care, an auburn wig resting gently on a foam stand, and at the very bottom, a pair of red heels I had never dared to wear outside the house. My name is Daniel. I'm 38 years old. Married to a brilliant, strong-willed woman named Claire. We've been together for 12 years. And for 12 years, I've been hiding a part of myself. Claire knew I cross-dressed. She'd discovered it early in our marriage when she came home unexpectedly and found me standing in front of the mirror wearing one of her old summer dresses. The shock in her eyes that day nearly broke me. But we survived it. Over time, it became an unspoken agreement. I could dress, but not around her. Not in front of her. Not as something she had to see. It faded into the background of our marriage like a piece of furniture neither of us acknowledged anymore. Until her best friend entered the picture. Her name was Vanessa. Vanessa was everything Claire wasn't: spontaneous, playful, emotionally perceptive. Where Claire approached life like a chess match, Vanessa treated it like jazz. She improvised. She laughed loudly. She asked questions that cut straight through polite conversation. She had been Claire's friend since university, but after moving back to the city last year, she started coming over frequently. Dinners. Wine nights. Movie marathons. And somehow, she started noticing me. It began subtly. Compliments about my cooking. Lingering eye contact across the table. Teasing remarks about how mysterious I seemed. One evening, after Claire went upstairs to take a call, Vanessa stayed behind in the kitchen while I washed the dishes. "You're different when she's not around," she said casually. I froze. Different how? She leaned against the counter, watching me. Softer. More expressive. My hands trembled slightly under the warm water. "You're imagining things." She smiled in a way that made my stomach tighten. Am I? Claire's footsteps on the stairs ended the conversation. But Vanessa's words didn't leave me. The night everything changed was a Friday. Claire had to attend a corporate retreat 2 hours away. She'd be gone for the weekend. Vanessa stopped by earlier that evening to drop off a book she'd borrowed. "You'll survive 2 whole days without your wife," she teased. "I think I'll manage." She looked around the living room thoughtfully. "What do you do when you're alone, Daniel?" The question felt loaded. "Normal things," I said. "Read. Watch films." She stepped closer. Too close. "That's not what I meant." My pulse began pounding in my ears. Before I could respond, her phone buzzed. She glanced at it and sighed. "I should go." At the door, she paused. "You know," she said lightly, "sometimes the most interesting parts of people are the ones they hide." And then she left. I lasted exactly 43 minutes after Claire's car disappeared down the street. The house felt different when I was alone. Larger. Quieter. Charged. I retrieved the wooden chest and carried it to the bed. My fingers brushed against the silk blouse first, pale blue, delicate buttons, soft as breath. I changed slowly. Methodically. Stockings sliding up my legs. Skirt settling at my waist. Wig adjusted carefully in the mirror. A touch of lipstick, subtle, but enough to change the face looking back at me. When I was finished, I barely recognized myself. There was always a moment, standing there, fully dressed, where the tension drained out of my body. Where I felt aligned. Calm. Whole. I turned, admiring the way the skirt moved. And then the doorbell rang. My heart stopped. No one ever came by unannounced. Still dressed, I panicked. I kicked off the heels and rushed to the window, peeking through the curtain. Vanessa. Of course it was Vanessa. She stood on the porch, hands tucked into her jacket pockets, expression unreadable. Maybe I could pretend I wasn't home. The bell rang again. Then my phone buzzed. Vanessa, I know you're in there. My blood ran cold. Another message. I forgot something. Please open the door. I stared at the screen, breath shallow. Had she seen me through the window earlier? Was she guessing? Testing? I should change. I should hide. I should. The bell rang a third time. Something reckless stirred inside me. Before I could think better of it, I walked to the door. And opened it. Vanessa's eyes widened. Not in shock. Not in disgust. But in something far more dangerous. Appreciation. For a long moment, neither of us spoke. Her gaze traveled, respectfully, but undeniably, from the wig to the blouse, down to the hem of the skirt. You look, she began softly. I couldn't breathe. Beautiful. The word landed like electricity. I can explain, I stammered. I don't need you to. Her voice was calm. Steady. I've known for months. The world tilted. What? She stepped inside without waiting to be invited, closing the door gently behind her. I saw you once, she admitted. Through the bedroom window. The curtains weren't fully closed. Humiliation burned through me. You should go, I whispered. Why? Because Claire. Claire doesn't want to see this side of you, Vanessa said quietly. But I do. Silence filled the room. My heart pounded so loudly I was sure she could hear it. She stepped closer, slowly, giving me every opportunity to pull away. I didn't. You're not ashamed right now, she observed. You're scared. That's different. Her hand lifted slightly, not touching, hovering. Near my sleeve. May I? I nodded before I could stop myself. Her fingers brushed the fabric of the blouse. Such a small touch. Yet it sent a tremor through me. You shouldn't be hiding, she murmured. Not from the world. And not from yourself. My voice barely worked. Why are you here? She met my eyes directly. Because I want to take you out. The sentence didn't make sense. Out? On a date. The word echoed in my mind like a struck bell. A date? I repeated faintly. Yes. Her gaze softened, but there was determination underneath. As you. The room felt too small. You're Claire's best friend. I know. She would never forgive us. Probably not. The honesty in her voice made my knees weak. And you're married, she added gently. Which is why I'm giving you a choice. A choice. No one had ever framed it that way before. Not a secret. Not a shameful hobby. A choice. Vanessa stepped back slightly, giving me space. I'm going to a private jazz lounge tomorrow night, she said. Nothing scandalous. Just music. Conversation. A place where no one knows us. She looked me over again, slowly. You could come as Daniel. A pause. Or you could come as the woman I see standing in front of me right now. My heart was racing so fast I felt dizzy. I can't, I whispered. You can. Her confidence was terrifying. And if I say no? She smiled faintly. Then I'll respect it. And we'll never speak of this again. She walked to the door, hand on the handle. But if you say yes, she added, glancing back over her shoulder, everything changes. My world narrowed to that single moment. Everything safe. Everything predictable. Or something unknown. Exhilarating. Dangerous. She opened the door halfway. Well, she asked softly. And that's when headlights flashed through the living room window. A car pulling into the driveway. Vanessa's expression shifted. Claire wasn't supposed to be home until Sunday. But I recognized that car instantly. Vanessa looked at me. Still dressed. Still exposed. Still standing in the middle of the living room as my wife's car engine shut off outside. The front door handle began to turn. The handle turned. I couldn't move. Vanessa reacted first. Bathroom, she whispered sharply. Claire stepped inside just as I fled down the hallway, heart hammering, heels abandoned on the living room rug. I locked myself inside the downstairs bathroom, staring at my reflection in the mirror. Lipstick. Wig. Blouse. Panic. I could hear Claire's voice in the living room. Vanessa? What are you doing here? I left my scarf earlier, Vanessa replied, perfectly calm. I thought you'd still be gone. I forgot my charger. The retreat doesn't start until morning. Their footsteps moved closer. Toward the hallway. My lungs felt too small for air. A knock landed on the bathroom door. Daniel? Claire's voice. I swallowed hard and pitched my voice lower. Yeah, you okay? Yes. Just, not feeling great. A beat of silence. Vanessa's here, she added. I know, I said before thinking. Silence again. How do you know? My mind scrambled. I heard voices. Vanessa cut in smoothly. I was just leaving anyway. Footsteps retreated toward the front door. Another pause. Then the door shut. I waited. 1 minute. 2. 3. Then Claire knocked again. She's gone. You can come out. My hands shook as I wiped off the lipstick with toilet paper, stuffed the wig under my shirt, and tried to steady my breathing. I cracked the door open slightly. Claire stood in the hallway, arms folded. Her eyes dropped instantly to my outfit. The skirt. The stockings. The blouse. 12 years of uneasy tolerance vanished from her face. You said you only did this when I was gone, she said quietly. I thought you'd be gone. That's not the point. I looked at the floor. What is the point, Claire? I asked softly. Her jaw tightened. The point is that I came home to find my husband dressed like this while my best friend was in our house. The implication hung heavy in the air. Nothing happened, I said quickly. Did she know? I hesitated. That was enough. Claire's eyes darkened. She knew. She found out months ago, I admitted. By accident. And you didn't tell me? I was ashamed. Claire let out a humorless laugh. You weren't ashamed enough to keep it hidden tonight. The words cut. I wasn't expecting her. Why was she here, Daniel? The real question. The dangerous one. I could lie. I could protect everyone. But something inside me, maybe the same reckless spark that had opened the door earlier, refused to. She asked me out. The silence that followed felt infinite. Claire blinked slowly. Excuse me? She asked me on a date, I said again, my voice steadier now. As this. Claire stared at me as if seeing a stranger. And what did you say? I didn't answer. Would you have? The question lodged in my chest. Would I have? Vanessa's words echoed in my mind. Or you could come as the woman I see standing in front of me right now. Claire stepped closer. Look at me, she demanded. I did. Her expression wasn't just anger. It was hurt. Is this what you want? She asked quietly. To be with someone who sees this side of you? I opened my mouth. Closed it. Because I didn't know the answer. Claire nodded slowly, as if my silence confirmed everything. I'm going to the retreat tonight after all, she said, turning away. We'll talk when I get back. Claire. But she was already heading toward the bedroom. I stood alone in the hallway, still dressed in silk and shame. The next morning, the house felt hollow. Claire had left before sunrise. She hadn't kissed me goodbye. She hadn't said I love you. My phone buzzed around noon. Vanessa. Is she gone? I stared at the message for a long time before replying. Yes. A few seconds later. Did you tell her? Yes. 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Then. I'm sorry. Another pause. Are you still coming tonight? My pulse quickened instantly. This was the moment. I typed. Deleted. Typed again. I don't know. Her response came almost immediately. Daniel, or whatever name you prefer when you're dressed. I meant what I said. I had never given that part of myself a name. It had always just been something I did. Something I hid. I see you, she continued. Those words did something to me. More than desire. More than temptation. Recognition. At 6:42 p.m., another message arrived. The lounge is called the Blue Hour. 9 p.m. No pressure. But if you come, come as you. I googled it. Private jazz bar. Dim lighting. Elegant dress code. Safe. Discreet. Dangerous. At 8:15 p.m., I stood in front of the mirror again. Only this time, it didn't feel like a secret ritual. It felt like a decision. I chose a black knee-length dress. Sheer stockings. The red heels I'd never worn outside. My hands trembled less than they had the night before. I applied makeup more carefully. When I finished, I didn't see Daniel pretending. I saw someone braver than he'd ever been. My phone buzzed again. A message from Claire. We need to be honest when I get back. I stared at it. Then looked at my reflection. Honesty. Wasn't that what this was? I grabbed my coat. And my keys. The Blue Hour was exactly as advertised. Soft gold lighting. Velvet booths. A trio playing slow jazz near the bar. I hesitated outside for a full minute before going in. The hostess looked me over politely and nodded. Table for Vanessa? My breath caught. Yes. She led me through the dim room. And there she was. Vanessa stood as I approached. For once, she looked speechless. Her gaze softened. You came. I sat down carefully, aware of every movement. Yes. She smiled, not triumphant. Relieved. You look stunning, she said quietly. Heat rose to my cheeks. The music swelled around us. For a moment, it felt unreal. Like stepping into someone else's life. Vanessa leaned forward slightly. What name should I call you tonight? I hadn't prepared for that. The question hung between us. I swallowed. Anna, I said finally. She repeated it softly. Anna. The way she said it made it feel real. We talked. At first about safe things. Music. Work. Travel. Then about harder things. How long I'd felt this way. How lonely it had been. How Claire had tried to tolerate it but never truly understood. Vanessa listened. Really listened. Halfway through the second set, she reached across the table. Not seductively. Not possessively. Just her fingers lightly brushing mine. Are you happy right now? She asked. I realized something startling. Yes, I whispered. For the first time in years, I wasn't split in two. I wasn't hiding. I wasn't apologizing. I was just there. With someone who saw me. And wanted me there. Vanessa's thumb traced a small circle against my hand. You deserve this, she murmured. I should have pulled away. I didn't. And that's when I saw him. A man near the bar staring directly at us. Not casually. Not curiously. Intently. Recognition flickered in his eyes. My stomach dropped. I knew that face. He worked in Claire's office. Senior management. He'd been at our house for dinner once. Vanessa noticed my expression change. "What's wrong?" she whispered. I couldn't look away from the man at the bar. Because he had just lifted his phone. And aimed it straight at us. The flash didn't go off. But he didn't need it to. The screen of his phone glowed faintly in the dim jazz lighting as he angled it toward us. Toward me. Toward Anna. Vanessa followed my gaze. "Do you know him?" she whispered. My mouth felt dry. "He works with Claire." Her expression shifted instantly, playful confidence replaced with sharp calculation. "Is he close to her?" "Yes." The man lowered his phone slowly, pretending to check a message. But his eyes returned to us. He recognized me. And worse, he was smiling. Not kindly. Knowingly. Vanessa leaned in closer. "Okay. We stay calm. We don't react." "You don't understand," I murmured. "If he shows her." "She already knows," Vanessa cut in gently. "You told her." "Not like this. Not in a public place. Not holding her best friend's hand. Not dressed head to toe in silk and secrets." The trio on stage shifted into a slower piece. The room felt smaller. Tighter. Vanessa's fingers squeezed mine once before she withdrew them, creating distance between us. The man at the bar stood up. My pulse spiked. He walked toward our table. Each step deliberate. Measured. Vanessa straightened in her seat. "Daniel," he said smoothly when he reached us. He didn't say Anna. He didn't even look surprised. He looked entertained. "Mark," I replied faintly. Mark smiled thinly. "Small world." Vanessa's tone turned politely neutral. "Do you two know each other?" "We work together," Mark said, eyes never leaving me. "Well. I work with Claire." The name landed like a dropped glass. "Yes," I said quietly. He gestured vaguely at my outfit. "Interesting style." Vanessa didn't miss a beat. "The lounge has a dress code." Mark chuckled. "Of course it does." An awkward pause followed. He leaned slightly closer to me. "Too close." "Claire's at the retreat this weekend, isn't she?" he asked casually. My heart thudded in my ears. "Yes. And here you are." The implication was deliberate. Vanessa's voice sharpened subtly. "Is there a problem?" Mark straightened. "No problem at all. Just surprised." His gaze flicked to Vanessa. "You're her best friend, right?" Vanessa held his stare. "Yes." He nodded slowly. Then he did something that made my stomach twist. He tapped his phone lightly against the table. I'm sure Claire would find this fascinating. The threat was clear. Vanessa stood up. Graceful. Controlled. "If you're implying something," she said evenly, "be careful. You're making assumptions." Mark raised his hand slightly in mock surrender. "Relax. I haven't said a word." "But you took a photo," I said before I could stop myself. His smile widened. "Did I?" Silence. He slipped the phone into his pocket. "Enjoy your evening," he said lightly. "I'm sure we'll talk soon." Then he walked away. Out of the lounge. Out into the night. Leaving the air thick behind him. Vanessa sat back down slowly. "Okay," she said under her breath. "That was bad." "Yes," I whispered. "Did he look angry?" "No." "That's worse. Because anger is impulsive. But calculation? That's strategic." I suddenly felt exposed. Not empowered. Not free. Exposed. I should go, I said. Vanessa nodded reluctantly. I'll walk you to your car. Outside, the night air felt cold against my bare legs. The parking lot was dimly lit. Daniel, Anna, look at me, Vanessa said gently. I did. He might be bluffing. He wasn't. You don't know that. I shook my head. He enjoys leverage. I've seen it at office dinners. He collects it. Vanessa exhaled slowly. Then we get ahead of it. How? You talk to Claire first. The idea terrified me more than the photo. She already thinks I'm choosing this over us. Are you? Vanessa asked quietly. The question cut deeper than Mark's smirk. Was I? I didn't want to lose my marriage. But I didn't want to lose this feeling either. Vanessa stepped closer, not touching, just near. Whatever happens, she said softly, tonight wasn't a mistake. I wanted to believe that. I really did. But as I drove home, the thrill of the evening dissolved into dread. At 11:48 p.m., my phone buzzed. A message from Claire. My hands tightened on the steering wheel before I opened it. It wasn't text. It was a photo. The photo. Grainy but clear enough. Me. Across a small candlelit table. Holding Vanessa's hand. Dressed unmistakably as Anna. Below it, one message. We need to talk. Now. My chest felt hollow. Another message followed. I'm driving back. 2 hours away. Alone. At night. Because of me. I pulled into the driveway, heart pounding. The house looked the same as it always had. Safe. Familiar. But it didn't feel that way anymore. My phone buzzed again. This time from an unknown number. I opened it slowly. It was Mark. You owe me. A third message followed immediately. If you want that photo to stay private. My stomach dropped. Blackmail. Vanessa's words echoed in my mind. We get ahead of it. But how do you get ahead of something already sent? Headlights suddenly swept across my driveway. Claire. She was back. Much sooner than 2 hours. The car door slammed. I was still sitting inside mine. Still dressed. Still exposed. The front door opened before I could reach it. Claire stood there. Not crying. Not yelling. Just staring at me. At Anna. In the harsh white light of the porch. And she wasn't alone. Mark stepped out from the passenger side of her car. The porch light cast long shadows across the driveway. Claire stood rigid, arms folded tightly across her chest. Mark lingered a few steps behind her, hands in his coat pockets, looking far too comfortable. I stepped out of my car slowly. The cold night air hit my bare legs, but I barely felt it. Claire's eyes swept over me, the dress, the heels, the makeup I hadn't yet removed. Not shock. Not confusion. Recognition. You didn't even try to hide it, she said quietly. I was going to tell you, I replied. Mark let out a soft, amused breath. Claire didn't look at him. You already had your chance to tell me. I swallowed. I did tell you. You told me she asked you out, Claire snapped. You didn't tell me you'd go. The truth hovered between us. I didn't decide until tonight. And you chose her. No, I said immediately. I chose honesty. Mark shifted slightly. Is this really the place? Claire cut him off sharply. You can wait in the car. For the first time, he looked mildly annoyed. But he obeyed. He walked back down the driveway, though he didn't get inside. He leaned casually against the passenger door, watching. Waiting. Claire turned back to me. Inside, she said. The living room felt different now. Smaller. Like the walls were listening. I stood near the couch. Claire remained by the fireplace, keeping distance between us. "Did you sleep with her?" she asked flatly. "No." "Did you want to?" The question was harder. I hesitated. And that hesitation hurt her more than any lie could have. She laughed once, bitterly. "God. It wasn't about sex," I said desperately. "It was about being seen." "And I don't see you," she shot back. I stepped closer instinctively. "You see parts of me. But you don't want to see this." She flinched at the word. "This," she repeated. "Daniel, I've tried. I stayed. I adjusted. I looked the other way. I know. But you never asked how it felt for me." Her voice cracked for the first time. "Do you know what it's like to watch your husband become someone else in front of a mirror? To feel like you're competing with a version of him you can't understand?" The words landed heavy. "I never wanted you to compete," I said softly. "But I am," she replied. "With Anna." The name sounded strange in her mouth. I hadn't meant for her to know it. But she'd seen the messages. Or Mark had told her. "Did he blackmail you?" I asked suddenly. Her expression shifted. "What?" "Mark. He texted me. Said I owed him if I wanted the photo to stay private." Claire's jaw tightened. "He showed it to me at the retreat," she admitted. Pulled me aside like it was some office scandal. He said he was concerned. "Concerned?" I repeated bitterly. "He implied you were unstable. That it could affect my position." There it was. Leverage. Mark didn't just want drama. He wanted control. "And you drove back with him?" I asked quietly. "He offered," she said defensively. I wasn't thinking clearly. Silence filled the room again. "You can't let him use this," I said. "Against you. Against us." "Us," she echoed. "Yes. Because whatever you think this is, it's still us." Claire looked at me long and hard. "Is it?" she asked softly. Before I could answer, there was a knock at the door. Not hesitant. Not polite. Deliberate. Claire closed her eyes briefly. I told him to wait. I moved toward the door. "I'll handle it." She didn't stop me. Mark stood exactly where he had been, but now his posture was straighter. Confident. Predatory. Mark smiled faintly when he saw me. "Everything calm inside?" "What do you want?" I asked bluntly. He tilted his head. "That depends." "On what?" "On how cooperative you're willing to be." My stomach twisted. "Cooperative how?" He stepped closer, lowering his voice. "I delete the photo. I don't mention it at work. Claire's reputation stays intact." "And in return?" His eyes traveled over my outfit slowly. "You have dinner with me." Ice slid down my spine. "You're disgusting," I said. He shrugged. "I'm practical." "You think I'd agree to that?" "I think you care about your wife's career," he replied smoothly. "And your own." He wasn't bluffing. Men like him never were. Behind me, I sensed movement. Claire had come to the doorway. She'd heard enough. "You're not getting anything," she said coldly. Mark didn't even look surprised. "Be careful," he warned lightly. "Rumors travel fast." Claire stepped forward until she was standing beside me. "For years," she said evenly, "I've managed men twice as arrogant as you. You think one blurry photo scares me?" His smile faltered, just slightly. "You're gambling a lot," he said. "So are you," she shot back. "Blackmail is a crime." A tense pause. Wind rustled through the trees. Finally, Mark exhaled sharply. This isn't over, he said. Then he turned, got into his car, and drove off. The driveway fell silent. Claire and I stood there together. For the first time that night, we were on the same side. She looked at me. At Anna. I don't know what we are right now, she admitted quietly. Neither do I. But I won't let him use this to control us. Relief and uncertainty tangled inside me. Thank you, I whispered. She studied me for a long moment. You looked happy in that photo, she said. I didn't deny it. That's what scares me most. Her phone buzzed. We both looked down at it instinctively. A new message. From Vanessa. Claire's eyes darkened as she read it. She says she needs to talk to both of us, Claire said slowly. My pulse quickened. About what? Claire turned the screen toward me. The message was simple. Mark isn't the only one who took a photo tonight. The words felt heavier than Mark's threat. Mark isn't the only one who took a photo tonight. Claire read the message twice. Then once more. Her face hardened in a way I hadn't seen before. What does she mean? She asked quietly. I don't know, I said honestly. But a cold realization was already forming. Vanessa had been calm. Too calm. Strategic. Claire typed back immediately. Explain. The reply came within seconds. I didn't trust him. When he started watching us, I took photos too. And a short video. Claire's eyes flicked to mine. She has leverage, I said slowly. On him, Claire corrected. Another message appeared. Mark approached me outside after he left your table. He assumed I'd be embarrassed. He was wrong. Claire exhaled sharply. Put it on speaker, she said. I called Vanessa. She answered on the first ring. I'm guessing you're both together, she said. Yes, Claire replied before I could speak. Start talking. Vanessa didn't hesitate. He followed me to my car after Daniel left. He implied he'd protect us if I cooperated. Claire's jaw tightened. Cooperated how? Dinner. Drinks. Something vague and slimy. Claire and I exchanged a look. Same tactic. But, Vanessa continued, I'd already recorded him while he was threatening Daniel at the table. And I got a clear shot of him taking the photo. Silence. You recorded him blackmailing my husband? Claire asked carefully. Yes. The word husband hung in the air. I figured if he tried anything, I'd have proof. Claire walked slowly back into the living room and sat down. You should have told me sooner, she said. I know, Vanessa replied. But I didn't want to escalate things unless he did. He already has, Claire said flatly. A pause. Then Vanessa added quietly, Claire. I need to be honest about something else. The air shifted. I felt it before she spoke again. I asked Daniel out because I care about him. Not to hurt you. Not to steal him. But because I see him struggling. Claire's eyes flicked to me. I know you do, Claire said softly. That's the problem. Silence stretched between all three of us. Finally, Claire spoke again, steadier now. Send me everything you have. The photos. The video. I will. And tomorrow morning, Claire continued, I'm reporting him to HR. Vanessa exhaled audibly. Are you sure? Yes. Mark thrived on silence and fear. Claire wasn't afraid anymore. After they hung up, the house fell quiet. Claire sat on the couch, staring ahead. I stood awkwardly in front of her, still dressed as Anna. I didn't plan for any of this, I said softly. I know. I never wanted to hurt you. She looked up at me. You did, she said honestly. But not in the way I expected. I sank into the chair opposite her. When you're dressed, she continued carefully, you look peaceful. The word surprised me. You've never looked at me like that before, she admitted. Because you didn't want to. She nodded. That's true. No anger. Just truth. I don't understand this part of you, she said. But tonight I realized something. I waited. You didn't go out to betray me. No. You went out because you felt alive. The accuracy of it hit hard. Yes. Claire leaned back slowly. And I haven't given you that feeling in a long time. That's not your fault. Maybe not, she said. But it's still real. Another silence. Less hostile now. More reflective. Do you love her? Claire asked finally. The question I'd been avoiding. I thought about Vanessa's hand on mine. The way she said Anna like it mattered. No, I said carefully. I don't love her. Claire studied my face. But, she prompted. But I love how she makes me feel seen. That hurt her. I saw it. Yet she nodded. I can't compete with someone who celebrates something I tolerate, she said quietly. That's not fair, I replied. You tried. I did, she agreed. But trying isn't the same as accepting. The word acceptance lingered between us. For 12 years, we'd lived in a compromise. Maybe compromise wasn't enough anymore. Her phone buzzed again. Vanessa had sent the files. Claire opened the video first. Mark's voice filled the room. Clear. Undeniable. You owe me if you want that photo to stay private. His tone was smug. Confident. Predatory. Claire stopped the video. That's enough, she said. She looked at me again. We can survive this, she said firmly. If we decide to. The if echoed loudly. I don't want to lose you, I said. She believed me. That much I could see. But love wasn't the only variable anymore. Identity was. Desire was. Truth was. Claire stood up slowly. Go change, she said gently. Then come back. We're going to talk, really talk, for the first time in years. I hesitated. Claire? Yes? Do you want me to change because you're uncomfortable? She considered that carefully. No, she said at last. I want you to change because I need to speak to my husband right now. Not because I'm ashamed of who you are. The distinction mattered. More than she knew. I went upstairs. Stood in front of the mirror one more time that night. Anna looked back at me. Not as a secret. Not as a rebellion. But as a part of me. And for the first time, I didn't feel like I had to choose between them. Downstairs, Claire waited. Tomorrow, Mark would fall. Vanessa would face consequences of her own. And our marriage would either fracture completely. Or rebuild on something honest. I removed the wig slowly. But I didn't feel like I was erasing myself anymore. I was integrating. When I walked back downstairs, Claire looked up at me. At Daniel. And something in her expression had changed. Not resignation. Not defeat. Resolve. Sit, she said softly. I did. And before either of us spoke. The doorbell rang. We froze. Claire's phone buzzed at the exact same moment. A message from Vanessa. He's not backing down. And there's something else you need to know about tonight. Claire and I looked at each other. Because whatever something else meant. It was about to change everything again. The doorbell rang again. Once. Twice. Not aggressive. Not impatient. Certain. Claire looked at her phone, then at me. Stay here, she said quietly. But I didn't. Whatever was happening now involved all of us. Claire opened the door. Vanessa stood there. Alone. No playful confidence. No calculated calm. Just tension. I'm sorry, she said immediately. I shouldn't have come this late. But this can't wait. Claire stepped aside without a word. Vanessa walked in, her eyes briefly meeting mine. There was something different there tonight, not desire. Concern. What's the something else? Claire asked. Vanessa took a breath. He didn't just threaten you too, she said. He threatened me too. We know, I replied. No, she shook her head. Not like that. She pulled out her phone and held it up. A few weeks ago, she said carefully, he started messaging me. Casual at first. Then personal. He knew about Daniel. About the crossdressing. My stomach tightened. How? Claire demanded. Vanessa hesitated. Because someone else saw him one night. Outside your house. The room went very still. I felt my pulse in my throat. He wasn't just at the jazz lounge by coincidence, Vanessa continued. He's been watching. Claire's face drained of color. Watching who? Both of you. Silence swallowed the room. Vanessa opened another message thread and handed the phone to Claire. There were photos. Not intimate ones. But invasive. Me leaving the house one evening, dressed as Anna, months ago when I thought the neighborhood was asleep. Claire arriving home late from work. Vanessa visiting for dinner. Dates and timestamps lined up beneath them. He's been collecting material, Vanessa said softly. Waiting for leverage. A cold, creeping understanding settled in my chest. This was never about the date, I whispered. No, Claire agreed. It was about control. Vanessa nodded. He thought he could manipulate all three of us. Claire handed the phone back slowly. I'm not protecting him, she said, voice steady now. Tomorrow this goes beyond HR. To the police? I asked. Yes. The certainty in her tone felt like a line being drawn. Vanessa exhaled in relief. I'll give a statement. So will I said. Claire looked at me then, really looked at me. You understand what that means? She asked quietly. Public record. Exposure. Questions. Possibly my private life dragged into formal investigation. Yes, I said. Because hiding was what allowed men like Mark to operate. And I was tired of hiding. We sat down together. All three of us. For the first time without tension crackling between us. Just clarity. I never meant to put you in the middle, Vanessa said to Claire. But I won't apologize for caring about him. Claire held her gaze. I know, she said. And that's what forced me to confront something I've avoided for years. She turned to me. I married you, she said carefully. All of you. I just didn't realize how much of you I'd boxed away. I swallowed hard. I thought loving you meant minimizing this part of me, I admitted. So you wouldn't have to deal with it. And I thought loving you meant tolerating it quietly, she replied. Vanessa watched us, saying nothing. We've both been protecting each other from honesty, Claire said. And hurting each other in the process, I added. She nodded. A long pause followed. Then Claire asked the question that mattered most. If there were no threats, no blackmail, no fear, would you still want to go out as Anna? The answer came easily now. Yes. And would you still want to be married to me? That answer was just as clear. Yes. Tears welled in her eyes, not from pain. From relief. Then we start there, she said softly. Vanessa stood slowly. I think this is where I step back, she said gently. Claire looked up at her. You're still my friend, she said. But we need space. To rebuild. Vanessa nodded. She understood. Before leaving, she looked at me one last time. Not possessively. Not regretfully. Just warmly. Be brave, she said. Then she left. The house felt different again. Not fragile. Not hollow. Honest. Claire moved closer to me on the couch. Tentatively. I don't know how to navigate this, she admitted. We learn, I said. Together? If you still want to. She reached for my hand. This time, she didn't hesitate. Together, she confirmed. For the first time since this began, I didn't feel divided. Daniel wasn't competing with Anna. They were the same person. And Claire was finally looking at both. Outside, the night was quiet. Mark would face consequences. The secrets would come into the light. But inside this house, something stronger than fear was forming. Not perfection. Not certainty. Choice. Claire rested her head lightly against my shoulder. One condition, she said softly. I tensed slightly. What? A small, almost shy smile appeared. Next time you go to a jazz lounge. My breath caught. I'd like to be the one sitting across from you. The words settled into my chest like warmth. You might not like my taste in dresses, I warned gently. She squeezed my hand. Then we'll figure that out too. And for the first time, that didn't feel like a threat. It felt like a beginning. The end.